If I'm wrong about the conspiracy, let me know. But I do believe that these people are intentional. They know what they're doing, and they're just looting the organization. They're looting Watchtower. They're selling their printing press. They're just selling everything. They're not believers. And instead of just telling everybody to go and live their life and keep the kingdom hall, it's yours, you paid for it, build something on it, build on rock. No, you can't. It has to be this way. It has to be this way. People have to see that they were part of a cult. You have to suffer. Leave your comment below. Let me know what you think about my. I never say that in all of my videos. Leave a comment below. But I'm really curious about whether or not you think that that conspiracy is true. That Watchtower wants your children. Hello. Hey, what's up?
Have you been following the Listen, Obey, and Be Blessed song?
Yeah, you know what I'm. Yeah, can you give me an update? Exactly what's happening? I've been looking a little bit, but I'm kind of have a little bit of questions.
There's a new album, and not by the name of Alec Jones, a Welsh singer, and he's doing an Interfaith album. And I was listening to it today on Amazon, and you can do what is called listen to the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's an Interfaith album, and song number 14 is song number 13 is Listen, Obey, and Be Blessed song. Or the Watchtower song number 89, the one from the Sophia and Caleb video.
Yeah. I saw that, and it's on Spotify. It says that it doesn't tell you who wrote it. It just says traditional. And then on Spotify, it says that it's BMG has the rights to it. So whoever wrote it sold the rights to BMG. Which is standard practice, right? Because they have the distribution network.
Right. Now it's blowing up in the Jehovah's Witness social media because we as Jehovah's Witnesses know that Interfaith. It's an Interfaith album that went on. Like to me, just an example. Song number 3 is Ave Maria. Song number 14 is Silent Night. Okay. And so it has different religious songs in there.
Okay.
And the singer's going to be traveling all over the Europe, wherever that is, different cathedrals, singing that Jehovah's Witness song.
Now, just to make it clear that this is the same. The arrangement is different because I saw that it has different arrangers, but the words are the same. It's the exact same song.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like, I can understand where you remember, like George Harrison changed the words to the song, but he kept the same beat. That's not the case here. This is the exact replica of the Jehovah's Witness song in an Interfaith album. Now, there's a couple of problems. We're going to discuss it right now, and at the very end, I'm going to go full conspiratorial on you guys.
Yeah. Well, the questions I had is, as Jehovah's Witness elders, we knew that Interfaith, and if you look up, do a Google search on Interfaith, jw.org, Interfaith.
Correct.
It's Legion. What the Jehovah's Witnesses have written on Interfaith. This is an Interfaith song.
Correct.
A song in an Interfaith album. And we know that in the Elders Manual, Interfaith is grounds for disfellowshipping. So it's a serious matter as a Jehovah's Witness being involved in Interfaith.
So if you're a Jehovah's Witness, an ex-Jehovah's Witness, or somebody who's not a Jehovah's Witness, the fact that this song was given to somebody else to be produced in an interfaith, any kind of interfaith setting, it could even been giving it to the Catholic Church for a Sunday, whatever. That's a disfellowshipping offense according to the Jehovah's Witness elder books.
Right. Well, in our faith, Jehovah's Witnesses,
as Jehovah's Witnesses,
it would be like the death penalty.
Correct.
Yeah, any other. I mean, this is a great crime. For example, we were elders.
Correct.
And the service overseer, they would always, anytime somebody had premarital sex or sex outside of the marriage coming in, and it wasn't reported, and the elders were investigating, they would always tell everybody that Jehovah's Spirit has left the congregation. Jehovah's Spirit can't be in this congregation. This is what the Jehovah's Witness leadership has done to their entire. They've taken such a big and famous song that every Jehovah's Witness knows about it, and they put it in an interfaith album. So that's why it's a big deal, because they're committing interfaith, which is a disfellowshipping offense.
Right.
So I think it would behoove the Jehovah's Witness to find out who is the one who sold these rights to the song.
Correct. So let's just say, okay, we'll go on to that's to the second point. So the first point is we got over 100 years of history of a Jehovah's Witness religion scaring every member, saying we do not do interfaith in anything.
Of any form.
In any form. And now it seems that somewhere in this organization we have an interfaith leak, and it's come to the fold. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem number one. Now, problem number two.
Jehovah lives. Mm-hmm. You know, they say God doesn't dwell in houses made by man.
Correct.
Well, Jehovah lives between Ave Maria and Silent Night in this album.
Correct. Jehovah's organization here on earth and his songs are in an interfaith album. So now let's go to the second point, which would be, what, somebody leaked this information?
Well, let's say somebody sold it.
Correct.
It wouldn't be what corporation would sell it. What corporation? It is a British album, so it could be the international. It could be the International Bible Student.
Correct, because it's licensed to BMG UK.
Yeah, it could be them. But if it is, then what we're learning a lot that the governing body really isn't in charge of a lot of the organization.
Okay.
Like they think they would. So Jehovah's Witnesses, they're freer. You're a lot freer than what you think you are, because the governing body doesn't have to run your whole life. Here they're committing a sin in the Jehovah's Witness doctrine. Mm-hmm. They're mixing in interfaith worship. They're allowing their song to be used in interfaith worship, mm-hmm. which we know that it's a beautiful album, and this has nothing to do with the artist or the producers, nothing. We're just talking about our religion, Jehovah's Witnesses. We're practicing rampant hypocrisy.
Okay, but let's go back to that point. So what we have here is one of two things. Either we have a renegade corporation of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not the Pennsylvania. It's not New York. It appears maybe it's a UK thing. And
no, it could be Pennsylvania.
It could be anything. Correct.
Yeah, it could be Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania owns the copyright.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So, but either way, the governing body of Jehovah's Witness, either one, didn't know about this, and some rogue Jehovah's Witnesses sold this, or they do know about it, and they don't really care and have no control over it.
Right. And both cases that you just addressed are a lose-lose scenario for the governing body.
Correct. Now this.
Number one, they're involved. Mm-hmm. Number one, they're involved in it, and they profited off it. Mm-hmm. Or number two, they have no control over it.
Correct. And this is not speculation, because Jared Loesch said right to the judges in court that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York has no control over him. Mm-hmm. So this thing about selling this song, it goes to prove that, hey, Jared Loesch is right, that this is done, whether it's in the knowledge of the Jehovah's Witness governing body or outside their knowledge.
Right.
Either way, it's a lose-lose for them.
Right. It's a lose-lose. Because it shows that they're not in control, and if they say that they are in control, then they're selling Jehovah's name for money.
They're selling Jehovah's name for money. And nobody's getting disfellowshipped, and nobody's paying the price for... Because that's what should happen.
Well, that brings a very interesting question. Now, this is why it's so important that Jehovah's Witness elders, circuit overseers, and special pioneers, they stay in the organization. Because let's say Stephen Lett is coming to your congregation, Anthony Morris or Sanderson is coming to your congregation. You have the power as an elder to bring him into the back room and do a judicial committee on him If you can get 2 or 3 of your elder buddies,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say Mark Sanderson is in your congregation, you could bring him in and ask him, when did he know that this song was going to be used in that album? Play it.
Correct.
Because there's evidence all over the world. There's evidence of, in your elder book, it says you cannot join in Interfaith. Somebody in the organization joined in Interfaith. This is a disfellowshipping. I think that you could bring a governing body into a judicial committee real quick and disfellowship them.
Correct. Now, some people right there are going to argue with you and say that's crazy, but here's the point. The reason we brought that point up is because Raymond France surrendered his power. He left the Jehovah's Witness organization. So you got to remember, Raymond France was a Jehovah's Witness elder. He was a Bethel elder. He was an employee of Watchtower, and he was a board member of Watch. He had a lot of titles, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So even if you did disfellowship a governing body member, he still has a job. He still has title and everything else. He still has passcodes to the computer system and everything. So that's the reality. The point is that when Raymond France surrendered everything, he surrendered being an elder, surrendered being a governing body, he surrendered being a member of the board. Then that's when they disfellowshipped him, when all of his power was gone.
Right. But do you remember when we served as elders and somebody was committing adultery or fornication or theft or whatever, or doing drugs or whatever it was? Remember how you would, the thrill of the hunt almost. You would, your blood would start pumping. You would bring somebody in, start questioning him or her, and because you had the goods on them.
Correct.
Now, I'm not saying you disfellowship them. You could find out if they're going to confess or anything, but I would say if there was a couple of elders who had some balls, because this is an open and shut case. This is interfaith worship.
This was
and the selling of God's name. Yeah. I mean, if you have a governing body member in your congregation, I don't see how you don't bring him into a judicial committee. I really don't see how you don't do it. No. At least do an investigating committee.
Yeah.
And he said a few others. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a but see this right here, this part of the conversation. I know a lot of people think, well, you guys are being crazy. I understand that, but this explains the Menlo Park situation in California. See, the Jehovah's Witnesses were trying to go into your Kingdom Hall, get rid of all of the elders because the elders wouldn't take out a loan, and let the Kingdom Hall go in and be leaned out to the Watchtower. So Watchtower says, hey, let's just get rid of all of these elders. Let's put a brand new board of young elders in here, and let's steal
who
didn't understand that Watchtower is going to lend you money, fix your Kingdom Hall, and then
they were just going to rubber stamp.
Correct. Yeah, Watchtower can go in there and lend you $20,000. You do a remodel of the bathroom. Next thing you know, they're the lien holders, and your property is gone in San Francisco. So those guys stayed in power. You have to fight. And like my last video, a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand the birthright. You have to fight for what's yours, because if you don't fight for what's yours, it's just going to be stolen.
Right.
Now, was that the only other points that you had?
Well, when I was going over the information, the interfaith, it's and Alex Jones, the artist, he talks a lot about it, how we're all together, and it's clearly an interfaith album, and it's a beautiful album. I just wanted to make sure that you mentioned that we're not knocking on the artist or the beauty of that album. It's the behavior of us. This is an internal Jehovah's Witness struggle, and we are not allowed to do this album. No Jehovah's Witness could do this album outside of Prince and Serena Williams and Michael Jackson.
Correct.
But you would be disfellowshipped if you participated in this. This would be evidence brought up in the judicial committee.
Correct.
And yet somebody at Watchtower sold Caleb and Sophia's song for an interfaith album, something that is against the Jehovah's Witness religion.
Correct. So, yes, and even there's a lot of YouTube videos where independent Jehovah's Witnesses make songs about their religion. And if they were to stray a little bit farther and maybe sell that song to the Catholic Church or BMG Music, and then they got used for something else, yeah, they would be disfellowshipped and they would lose their whole family and so
here's
forth.
Another thing, and another angle is every Jehovah's Witness is captive to a concept in this sense. They always say that Jehovah's Spirit. They always use Jehovah's Spirit in the congregation. If any member of the Jehovah's Witness religion in any land all over the earth does any sin, in that congregation, the elders say, well, Jehovah's Spirit cannot be in this congregation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel Jehovah's Spirit is not in this congregation.
Mm-hmm.
And the elders are so superstitious, and they start digging through everybody's sex life, through everybody's Facebook, until they find out who's committing sin. Here, a Jehovah's Witness sold a kind of like Canaan. Remember when they went into battle in the times of Joshua?
Correct.
And he received gold. He stole gold when that land was dedicated for destruction. And he profited off of the battlefield. And on the next battle, the Jehovah's Witnesses teach that God's Spirit was not with them and the Israelites lost the battle. The same thing is going on here. The Jehovah's Witnesses went into this Interfaith album, made profit off of it, sold it, whatever the case may be. So Jehovah's Spirit can't be with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because this is in a worldwide basis. Anybody in the world can see this album now. The Jehovah's Witnesses are in an interfaith.
So if you're from the world, you're not, and you're not a Jehovah's Witness, you don't know much. What you don't understand is what he's trying to say. What Jesse's trying to say is these are the internal beliefs of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So that thing about Joshua and everything, that's part of their regular teaching. And so if we use that teaching that's always been ingrained in a Jehovah's Witness, then this act of interfaith is equal to Achan stealing money from Moses and the tribes, hiding it, and then the Jehovah's Spirit leaves the congregation.
And all of Israel suffered.
And the whole congregation suffers. So now we're going to go to the big conspiracy thing. Are you ready?
Yeah, go.
Okay, a lot of people think I got a few calls and I told them just wait, I'll do the video. They go, Gilbert, what do you think about this? It's real simple. I'm going to go conspiratorial. I know this is crazy, but when you start looking at the history of the Jehovah's Witness, and I want to do a video separate on this, but I'm fascinated by the history and the story of seers, and one guy that I follow, he's a tool expert. He just did an video and talking about how the looting of seers, it's just basically the looting of the company. In it's plain as day for anybody who knows anything about the company. They see it. It's just a stripping of the money. And I just find it so interesting because I see the same similarities with the Jehovah's Witness where you have the looting. And so my conspiracy is that a lot of people say, this thing about Jehovah's Witnesses teachings of the overlapping generation or, stop going door to door, the Zoom meetings and everything. And they progressively, they just get whack at more whack and more whack. And they go, Gilbert, why? Well, a lot of the people in there are true believers. I spoke firsthand account here in Phoenix with a guy that actually worked very closely with the governing body, and they really are believers, the helpers. But I believe, this is a conspiracy, that the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is doing this on purpose, like you see with the pedophiles and everything else. They're trying to get you to leave. And they're thinking, what the hell do we have to do to get you out of our religion? Because you see, if you get rid of a lot of people in a city, which is happening already, you can go and you can sell that property because everyone's gone. If you can get rid of all of the people that were old timers of Jehovah's Witnesses, then guess what? The Kingdom Hall and all of the work that went involved in building it, all of those people are dead or they've left the organization. So you got a bunch of newcomers. They didn't know that they actually borrowed money, paid interest, and now the property is going to be stolen. So Watchtower comes out with overlapping generation and just wacky, crazy stuff. And this is just one of them. And I think it's like Sears, they don't declare bankruptcy and sell all their assets and let their shareholders have some kind of return on their money. What they do is they just let the ship keep going, keep it afloat as long as they can. And while it's afloat, they're looting it. They're selling everything out. And they're just wondering, this is just one, they're hoping that with this scandal, that another 10% people will just leave the organization and saying, please get the hell out, because the faster you leave, it's easier for us to steal your home. It's hard to steal something when people are sitting, in the home. It's hard to steal a home when somebody stays there, right? But if you could scare the hell out of somebody, you can homestead their house. Like, well, mine now, And that's the whole thing. This is my belief. I think Watchtower is doing this on purpose. They're going to do more crazy things, and they're just hoping. This is a conspiracy theory, but I'm just thinking, if I'm because I am, I ran for governing body, right? And I'm thinking, what the hell do I have to do to get these people to leave so I can steal their property? And you can't. But I really do believe that's just my conspiracy theory.
10%. If you lose 10% of the people over this, I don't know if you'll lose 10% of them.
Correct.
But yeah, it's gonna. Listening, I was reading the comments on John Cedars' channel and Mike and Kim, and it's affecting a lot of people.
Correct.
The hypocrisy on the Watchtower on this, it's affecting. It's got to be hurting a lot of active Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't think you'll lose 10% over it.
But a lot of other things have been hurting the Jehovah's Witnesses over the years, over the decades. We can enumerate so many of them. The great video from Dave, when he talks about he's the Watchtower conductor and he's reading about the overlapping generation. He's in the platform. He's like, what the hell is this overlapping generation? And that was enough for him. So what I'm saying is, I really do believe after what I see, like with the Sears story and others, this is a looting. And if you were to shut down Watchtower and tell everybody to go away, that would create huge alarms with the federal government. And it would be obvious that they're just trying to steal everything. But if you can manage the decline of the Titanic, and so it's going to go down, but we're going to take it all the way to New York Harbor. But by the time we get to New York, we'll have stripped everything out of it. And the only thing that will be there is a shell corporation. But everything else is gone. The properties, the money, the technology, the copyrights, everything has been gone.
The property is useless right now. They're not using it. It's dead.
Yeah, but those properties, Jesse, are there's a lot of people that are eyeballing these things, because that's the other part, I think, of COVID that people don't understand, is that COVID is bringing down, and this is another thing about the fraud with COVID, that COVID is bringing down the property values, and they're rioting in streets. They're rioting in streets and neighborhoods that are called opportunity zones. It's not a coincidence. And those opportunity zones, if you were to buy property in those areas, and then later on, you go in and you invest, it's tax free. So why is the rioting being done in opportunity zones? So there's a lot of money to be made right now in real estate, in that they're saying if we can get these prices to go down and purchase, they're thinking long term. So no, these are great properties. Don't get me wrong. Watchtower, I don't think is going to sell them. I think they're going to sell them to their friends.
What you're saying, your conspiracy theory is, I think that they just did a stupid mistake, greedy mistake.
Correct.
A greedy, stupid mistake. But we all make mistakes. And it could be as simple as that. But what you're saying is they're doing it on purpose.
They're doing it on purpose.
To try to get people to, by doing these series of mistakes, people are leaving.
People are leaving, and they're going to do another mistake, and another mistake, and another mistake.
Let's look at our brothers, our families, like Paul and Mark and Joe. These are smart men, but they don't have the mental capacity to say, wow, we messed up here. We're selling Caleb and Sophia, and it's an interfaith. I'll disfellowship a young couple who had sex before marriage, but when Watchtower does this interfaith, nothing. I
don't know. Well, one thing we know is that Mark, the city overseer, his kids aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, and we know that Danny. We know the city overseer Mark, his kids aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. We know that Danny, his wife, they've drank the Kool-Aid, but their kids haven't. Their kids are. Or two of their kids are out. So there's.
Brother, sister, Joe and Annabelle.
But we'll look at them. But look at Joe. All of his three kids are out of the organization. So, this thing will drive more people out, and I really think the kids are gone.
But the old people, they stay. The 50, 60-year-old.
Yeah.
They're too.
Well, and that's okay, because in 10 more years they'll be dead. In 20 more years they'll be dead. So everything about the Jehovah's Witness religion is dying. So what? You can keep all the old timers. They'll all be dead. All the young people are leaving. And guess what? When Mark Deanda dies in Yuma and Danny dies and all those other guys die, look at Ralph Nasseman, the English congregation. He helped build those kingdom halls. He's retired in Mexico. Who knows where the hell he's at? His son is dead. He left the organization. So
Rojas is dead.
yeah, Rojas is dead. And Rojas' son is dead. Rojas fought in World War II, and his son is dead. Ramos fought in Korea. His son is,
So, in a sense,
they're all dying.
Yeah, look at the lover of our brother.
So in 10 years, if what? Yeah, so just follow this. Will follow my conspiracy theory. If every 6 months Watchtower pulls shit like this, then more and more people are going to leave, and all the old timers are going to stay, but the old timers will be dead in no time. And I'll tell you what, those old timers, you put them on a, like Mike and Kim says, on a 700 club. You put the old timers on a 700 club with Zoom, and you start charging them a $20 a month subscription fee. Shit, you'll make more money than you can ever dream of. So I would rather have a bunch of old people tuning in and steal all of their fucking kingdom halls. And the nice thing, they don't even have to go. They don't even have to go door to door anymore.
Yeah, they don't have to go door to door.
Yeah, so it's a dying religion. It's a dying religion, and Watchtower is just patching up the holes in the Titanic and trying to get it to New York Harbor, and they're trying to make sure that before they get to New York, every damn thing of value has already been moved somewhere else.
So they're like the Fox News of religion.
Yeah, or the Sears. No, I think I love the example of Sears.
Well, you know how people say Fox News is like the Titanic right now?
Yeah. But they're going down fast. Fox News is going down super fast. Sears was selling everything off one by one by one. Their furniture, they sold their paint, they sold their just everything.
Yeah, they sold the tools.
They sold the tools. They sold, they sold Allstate. They sold Discover. Everything was being sold, and it was being dismantled. And then the property was being sold to the CEO's company.
Okay.
So it was just
going to the corporation that owns copyright.
Mm-hmm.
They start selling their copyright stuff. We already know that they sent out a letter to say you start tearing things up, burning paper, books. Since they're burning the books, could this be somehow related with the selling of their literature, their copyright, the song?
I have no idea about that.
Oh. Okay, just asking.
But yeah, burning the books is
because
just.
That's how much. By burning the books, that's how much they hold their copyright. That's how much value they hold the copyright.
Correct.
And then for selling that song, well, you know what? We really don't even know if they sold the song. They could have gifted the song.
Yeah, they're burning their book. We know why they're burning their books. They're burning their books so that way nobody can go in there and look, and compare what the apostates are saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why they're burning their books. They're book burners. Yeah.
Right.
But and it's also because they're trying to reinvent themselves into something new, and that's the old. So you got to get rid of everything. You got to get rid of all evidence of old before you bring in the new.
No matter what, getting back to this song, Listen, Obey, and Be Blessed, it's a shock to all the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, all the videos I saw. I mean, it's just, everybody's almost like flabbergasted, dumbfounded, in a state of awe. How could they do this? Because this goes contrary to everything we've been taught as babies as Jehovah's Witnesses.
Listen, I said this before in other videos. I told you I live by these words. I thought George Norrie was crazy. And he says there's no such thing as a coincidence. For crying out loud, what you just saw right now with the song, it's not a coincidence. It's not a mistake. It's not. It was intentional. And you got to stop thinking like a Jehovah's Witness or ex-Jehovah's Witness. You actually, it's like this. I saw this one video with David Icke, and then people say, I can't believe that I would never do that. He goes, that's right, Jesse. You would never do that. You would never sell a song for an interfaith if you were Jehovah's Witness. You would never do that. But they will. Listen, Jesse, you will not let your daughter die in a hospital, but the governing body will. See, this is what Jehovah's Witnesses don't understand. You will never do it, but the people that you support, the people that you follow will. They're evil. They will hide pedophiles. You won't hide pedophiles, but they will. Don't you understand? So that's why when you talk to Jehovah's Witnesses, they go, you're crazy, Gilbert, because I'll never do that. I can't think of anybody doing that. That's right. Because normal people don't do this.
They just did it in front of all of our faces.
Correct. And why? Because they want you to leave, especially the young ones. And they know they're not going to get rid of everybody. And it's okay if you get rid of it's okay because you have a managed decline. And by keeping all of the old ones until they die in the next 10, 20 years, you're able to sell off all your assets and move them to another company. Just like Eddie Lampert did with Sears. He bought it from Sears and he sold it to Eddie Lampert. He had two companies. He was just moving properties from one side to the next. And that's what Watchtower is doing. I wouldn't be surprised if all the Kingdom Halls that you see were sold internally, to other corporations that they have vested interest in. It wouldn't surprise me one bit, because their real estate is prime. They got some. I mean, in Phoenix, Arizona, for crying out loud, right in the college GCU, they got it right in the middle of the campus, a double Kingdom Hall. Yeah, that thing's worth in the millions, like what, $4, $5, $6, $10 million. They can put skyscrapers there. They could put, nobody uses it, but they could put skyscrapers there and pizza shops and coffee shops all on the bottom, and you got a population of about 10, 15,000 teenagers. So yeah, they're sitting on prime real estate. So why would Watchtower keep that property for a bunch of Mexicans like us, who donate very little, and what for? I'd rather just tear it down, sell it to the governing body and their family in another corporation, and then lease it for 50 or 100 years to the college. It's what Eddie Lampert did from Sears. He takes it from the host and he buys it, and then he just moves the money. And this thing, I hear a lot of people saying, well, Watchtower selling properties because they got to pay child abuse claims. Fuck that shit. Their lawyers are making sure the money is being moved before they pay anything. And we know it because remember what Jared Lowe said? Jared Lowe says, hey, Watchtower has no control over me. Same thing with Watchtower. Says, hey, man, we got no money. We're broke. That's right. Because we fucking sold the money and we put it somewhere else. Who knows? They may have a Fort Knox down in Warwick, and they might have, they may sell property and buy gold bullion and keep it there, and nobody knows that they got money there. I mean, who knows? But rich people like that in the billions, people that have billions of dollars don't just let money go. No, those guys. There's a reason why they have lots and lots of corporations. They're just moving money around. In my opinion, those are just my.
I don't know. I don't know if I told you this, but remember that guy you met in Phoenix who told you he worked at Bethel, and he told you, Gilbert, these are not intellectual people. They're not biblical scholars. Yeah, they're very, very, very young. So maybe you would think, if let's say there's a young elder who's 27, 28, and I really think, just from working with it when I was a Jehovah's Witness, the younger one, I don't even think they know what the definition of interfaith is. Yeah. No, you're right. You talk to a 19, 20, 30-year-old Jehovah's Witness, they would not be able to explain interfaith. Yeah, they wouldn't know what interfaith is. Mm-hmm. So stupidity and ignorance could be catching up with them. So a lot of the older Jehovah's Witnesses are leaving and getting stuck with kids who didn't go to college, don't have a lot of experience in life, and they're being put in a position of responsibility that they have no experience in life. Correct. And that brings out the point we didn't discuss that you just mentioned right there, is that when you see that picture of me with Jared Loesch, or you see not Jared Loesch, not Sidlick, but Schroeder. I'm with Schroeder in Czechoslovakia, and then you see Daniel Sidlick and other people like that. What happens is people don't understand this. Jehovah's Witnesses like me would, and Daniel Sidlick, governing body, and Schroeder, we would never ever sell the Kingdom Melodies to Interfaith or anybody else, because we're a different type of Jehovah's Witness. The governing body of today is not the same governing body of the old, and that was a conversation I had with that guy who worked real closely with the governing body. He goes, Gilbert, man, they're just really stupid people, but the governing body is not stupid, but they're not believers like the old timers. They know the jig is up. They're not like Anthony Morris does not believe in the truth like Daniel Sidlick did. And for proof of that, all you have to do is listen to Raymond France. Raymond France was a fucking believer.
He was a believer up to the very end. He believed that shit when he worked in Bethel.
No. You're talking about
Frederick.
friend.
No, Raymond, the one that left.
Okay.
Yeah, Raymond was a believer until he became an apostate.
Right.
So that was the old governing bodies. They actually believed it, with the exception of Leo Greenlees that was, having sex with little boys. But the point is that this governing body. When I was talking to that guy that worked with a governing body in New York on an intimate level, he did a lot of good stuff with them. But he says, Gilbert, because these were the people that work there are not really smart, and they're all jockeying for position. Everyone's trying to get, it's like a politics. Everyone's trying to get close,
Right.
and but he goes, the governing body, they know more than what they lead, because they're not believers of like the old. They're not believers. He's a little bit younger than me, but he remembers the old governing body. He goes, no.
Like when you listen to Garrett Loesch speak,
Mhm.
he sounds identical to like the president of the United Nations.
Correct.
Yeah, they're just old men who are in a position of responsibility, but they're not biblical scholars or they're not historical scholars. They're just bureaucrats, apparatchiks.
Correct. And for proof of that too is we have the two old timers. Barrow is one of them, and I forget the other guy's name. But they did not want the Jehovah's Witnesses to be online. No. But once those two guys died, the new governing body like, no, we're going to go online 100%. And so, but the point is that the new governing body of today, the governing body of 2020, does not believe in the religion like the old one did. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you can't, because you can't justify 1914, 1919. You can't.
So hence my theory, my conspiracy theory is these guys know that they're full of shit, so might as well just steal everything you can and manage a steady decline. Manage the decline of the Titanic. You talked about Fox News, not good. Sears is better because Sears is still in business and they're still raping it. They're raping that freaking company. Well, even though he's already gone, but he left very little to be raped. I think Sears is like 50 cents a share. It's not even traded anymore in the stock market. So it makes sense. I really do believe my conspiracy theory that these guys are just managing a decline.
Financially speaking, selling the song is equivalent to selling Kingdom Hall.
Exactly. And getting rid of the young people serves them because you can keep the old. Go ahead, keep them. I would charge them a monthly fee, and I would hope that they're all dead in 10, 20 years because everybody's going to be gone, and you just take it's easier to steal the property when nobody goes.
And you know what? Everybody dying like in 10, 15 years, which that's a very important point because everybody thought, I'm 52 years old and I was how old? 49.
Yeah.
And you're born in.
Correct.
We thought that we were never going to die, that we were going to live through Armageddon.
Correct.
So they're all in a state of denial. They're almost in a state of shell shock because they're looking in the mirror and they're getting to be 60, 70 years old, and wait, Armageddon didn't come.
Okay.
So right now with COVID, they're going to spend the rest of the couple of years in the bunker.
Correct. Now let me help you.
So,
let me help you with this because in every city, guys, if you're looking at me, I'm going to mention some names, but in every city you have people just like this. In Yuma, Arizona, we have a guy, city overseer, Mark DeAnda. He's the big shot. But you also have Ralph Sanchez, Paul DeAnda. My brother-in-law, he's sick. He has a really bad disease, and so let's pick a couple of Danny Ponce. So you just in every congregation, like Richard Rodriguez, another one. They all start dying. They're all of age. So Mark dies. Albert Ramos dies. Rocky dies.
But they never had to apologize.
No, but hold on.
They don't go into their deathbed and say, you know what, I was wrong about Armageddon.
But the point I'm trying to say is if all of these people die and they're going to die soon, they're going to die real soon. Hopefully I'm wrong, but no. But look at it. If they start dying, then guess what? Just think about this. The influence that they have over the congregations is gone. They're dead, and it's easier to steal property when all of these people are gone, because you're dealing with new batches of kids that never put one penny in those kingdom halls. They don't have no physical attachment, no mental. They have no idea the history. They know nothing. So in Yuma, Arizona, when Mark dies, Paul dies, and all these Albert and Rocky die, they all die. And then you say, hey, don't you remember Peter Rojas was here? And they're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Peter Rojas is the 1960s, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? But don't you remember the Congros? The Congros gave you the kingdom out. But the Congros are living in Phoenix. They're living somewhere else. Everyone's gone. And they're looking like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's easy to steal when all of the young people have left and all of the old people are dying. And it goes back to what I said in my last video, and a lot of people didn't understand. That they're stealing your birthright. That kingdom hall was your birthright. It was yours. It was for your family. It was for your children, but they stole it. They steal everything. They stole your family. Your mom and dad don't talk to you. Brothers and sisters don't talk to each other. These people are. So you say, well, they would never do that. I would never do that. No, I would never do that. But those fuckers will. Those fuckers don't give a shit about you. I care about you. You care about me. We care about these people. Those fuckers don't give a shit about nobody. They're selling everything.
In a way, it's true. It's true because I remember when we did the Avenue A remodel. Mm-hmm. It was a $100,000 remodel. But before that, they had a committee and they tried to sell the kingdom hall. And I stood up and defended the kingdom hall because it was in the middle of the town.
It was in the middle of the town.
A lot of us were married here. A lot of us were born here. A lot of us. And I go, there's a lot of history here. People can walk here in the middle of town. It gives testimony because I was a believer. And I go, it gives a testimony of Jehovah. And I remember that when I said that speech, nobody could argue with me, and we saved the kingdom hall. We saved the kingdom hall from being sold, and because you made an argument. A younger kid. So I was probably 40 years old at the time. But you get a 30-year-old elder or 25-year-old, he won't have that attachment.
You get 3, 4, 30-year-old elders, and what you do is you send them to New York. You have them work and some stupid project, and you tell them how great they are and how much Jehovah loves them. And oh, by the way, can you sign this and this and this? And I'm like, sure, we'll sign it. Stupid fucks.
Yeah.
Stupid fucks.
Yeah, and so that's why they have to get rid of us.
That's why they have to get rid of the old people, and that's why you got to get rid of the family members, because you have to destroy the family, destroy the birthright, destroy the family, and then everybody else is new. There's no attachment to it. As far as you know, this kingdom hall was always rented out. You didn't know that it had been financed for 30 years with interest rates, and it's like Wells Fargo, oh my God, it's Wells Fargo lending you money on all these homes, charging interest and keeping the title, and like kicking you the hell out. Says, hey, thank you for paying for 30 years.
When we were doing the remodel on the Avenue A, I worked with a brother that you mentioned. I won't mention his name, but he came down to work on the building, and we were talking about how the trusses were sagging, and he goes, yeah, we built them right here in the parking lot where we're standing. Like in 1972, 1971, they built them right there in the parking lot. And then the elder that I was serving with, he goes, yeah, my dad worked here. And they built them right here. My dad built these, the trusses, they were built right there on the spot, on the parking lot.
Now let me tell you something.
But the younger generation wouldn't care. They would not care.
And this is what another thing you don't know about the trusses, and the trusses that were put in the Avenue D Hall, and also the crane that was used in the Avenue D Hall. All that was free. It was free. But guess what? The budget that you had to build that kingdom hall, and Watchtower said, how much are you going to need, Gilbert, to build the kingdom hall? $50,000. But guess what? We got $20,000 free of materials and labor. No, that doesn't count. That was never discounted from the loan. But there really was never a number. It's whatever the fuck they want. But they say, hey, okay, we'll put $50,000, and you have to pay back $50,000. And now everyone's dead, and all of the kids have been disfellowshipped, and they're And I'm sorry if I went on that rant, but that's what the fuck they do. They destroy families. And I say this because in other churches, I see parents who work with their children and they're 1, 2, 3, 4 generation. And they're working in the church, and the church is huge, and the church is giving out tons of amount of food. I just watched the movie about the Donut King, and you have these churches that have been around for 100 years, and 1, 2, 3, 4 generations of family go to the church, and what do? They bring in people, refugees from all over the world. In this case, the guy was from Cambodia. They bring in people and they house them, and the government says, hey, we need sponsors. But that's what churches were supposed to do. Churches were supposed to help the communities. But the Jehovah's Witnesses destroyed your fucking family.
Yeah.
And your city is hurting. Your city is hurting. We're supposed to take care of you, Ma.
They didn't make the town better.
They didn't make the town better. But across the street, God bless those churches that did. They kept the generation of families in. And guess what? They prosper. We didn't prosper. You know why we didn't prosper? Because we were fucking duped. Like Dan Peña says, man. Dan Peña talks about it, you know. He's like, our parents, our grandparents, we were fucked. And start building for your family in the future, your children. And say, don't do this shit. You got to build. Because your children depend on it, and your city depends on it. The future of the country depends on it.
Like, I really think, like everything you're mentioning, it's not so much the city, but it's the love of Jesus
Correct.
Christ.
Correct.
Would it move you to not do that? If you love Jesus Christ and you believe in Him, if you would sell the property from under the brothers.
If you believe in Jesus Christ, you wouldn't sell the property that's in your hometown to a group of men in New York City that are going to diversify it in who knows what kind of fun.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. We're supposed to take care of each other. It's not, you know, of course I'm talking about Jesus Christ, but I'm not trying to mention Him. But it's the whole thing of what Jesus talks about building in sand or building in rock. We built in fucking quicksand.
Yeah, quicksand. Yeah, we built in quicksand. It's like blazing saddles.
But the other church is built in rocks. That's why they're helping people. That's why they're sponsoring people in need. That's why they're sending food and doctors overseas. You know, that's why their children become doctors. And then like Rand Paul, you know, he's a congressman, but he's also an eye doctor, and he goes, a U.S. senator, goes to Haiti and other countries, and he operates on children for free. You know, people like him also go and they do the cleft lip operations, everything for free. They get on the mercy ships and do everything free. Why? Because they belong to a church that understood that we have to take care of our children. But instead, we belong to a church that fucking sold everything to New York City. No wonder fucking Putin hates the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's why fucking Putin is right. Putin is fucking right. Fuck the Jehovah's Witnesses. They'll destroy your fucking country. They'll destroy your city. They'll destroy your families. And your children will not be doctors, and they won't be operating on people for free.
Yeah. Hey, but you gotta calm down. We were just talking about...
I know, but of course, you know, people don't understand. They steal everything.
All right, man. Well, I gotta go pass out.
I know. What time is it right now?
About 10:30.
Oh, shit. Me too. All right, man. I'm sorry I went in a rant, but...
Okay. All right. No problem. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bye. A lot of editing. I thank my brother for calling me, talking about this subject just real quick. Hey, I'm sorry if I cursed a little bit. I cursed a lot during the edits. But, you know, these people are intentional. Now, you and I, we would never do these things. You and I, it would never occur to us to do these things. But they don't even think about it. They do that and even worse things. There is so when you listen to this and you think, wow, you're going crazy. No, you and I won't do these things, but they will. You know, a lot of times you Jehovah's Witnesses think that you're nice people. You're not. You're evil. I know. I used to be a Jehovah's Witness elder. I thought I was a great person. I was an evil person. I didn't know I was evil until the night I went to jail. And I realized, hey, I'm one evil son of a bitch. But it was great Because just because you think you're a good person doesn't make you a good person. Just because you think you have Jehovah's backing doesn't make you a good person, because, as we saw in the conversation, you have to live in reality. And and this year has been really good because I have to do something. Whether I get involved in politics, I get involved in church, or whether I start my own church like NOKECA, the National Organization of Congregations Against Cult Abuse, or whatever it is. But I know I have to do even more. And I know when I talk about cults abuse and when I talk about my cult life, my past, people, they like to listen when I talk to my individual on the street. And I know it has good fruit. I've seen it. So forgive me, guys. If I'm wrong about the conspiracy, let me know. But I really do believe that these people are intentional. They know what they're doing, and they're just looting the organization. They're looting Watchtower. They're selling their printing press. They're just selling everything. They're not believers. And instead of just telling everybody to go and live their life and keep the kingdom hall, it's yours, you paid for it, build something on it, build on rock. No, you can't. It has to be this way. It has to be this way. People have to see that they were part of a cult. You have to suffer. You're a Jehovah's Witness. You have to suffer. You have to go through it. But hopefully, you'll be like me and you'll consider it all a blessing and you'll never, ever go back. And if life is everlasting, so you only lasted a few years in the Watchtower. Life is everlasting. The lesson that you learn is a great lesson. And that's all I have. Leave your comment below. Let me know what you think about my... I never say that in all of my videos, leave a comment below. But I'm really curious about whether or not you think that conspiracy is true. That Watchtower wants your children gone, disfellowship gone, faded away. They know your parents are going to die soon, and they're just going to take everything that's left over. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.